There are moments in the story of our species when everything shifts. When the world that sustained us for generations, for tens of thousands of years, the band had lived in a valley that gave them almost everything they needed.
This valley was not just home, it was memory. Every rock and river bend carried the weight of generations. Then the rains began to fail, not all at once. The first year, the river ran low.
The grass that had fed the herds turned brittle before the dry season even began. The wild beast antelope. The gatherers searched farther each day and returned with less. The roots were shriveled. The fruity.
For the children, hunger was a new sensation. For the adults, it was familiar. Every life had no...
The hunters ranged farther than they ever had before. 3 days out and back, returning with game too small for the whole band.
The elder called the band together at dusk. Everyone gathered, hunters, gatherers, mothers with infants, children old enough to understand.
The elder spoke for a long time. Others responded bare, some with fear.
But the elder had survived one thing all the younger members had not. They had seen another valley fail, in their own childhood.
By morning, the decision had been made. Not with joy, not with certainty, fine, but with the grim pragmatism of
Personal objects, a carved bone, a bundle of feathers, a stone with a particular color, were held for a moment, then placed in bundles or left behind.
Before they left, one East Asian woman walked to the graves at the edge of the camp.
The band moved out of the valley in a long, single file. The elder at the front, the youngest children carried...
They did not know where they were going. The elder had a direction, indeed.
By the end of the first day, the valley was gone behind them. The landmarks they had used every day of their lives had disappeared below the horizon.
That night, the children slept with more difficulty than usual. The sounds were different here. The wind moved.
On the third day, they found water. A spring emerging from rock on the far side of the ridge.
The spring was small, not enough for a permanent camp, but enough to rest, to drink.
The elder studied the land from the high ridge above the spring,
Looking for green. Every unfamiliar territory had to be mapped in the mind before it could be used. Which directions held game? Which areas smelled of predator?
And unknown plants could mean food or death. Every new species had to be tested with extreme caution.
One of the older children found animal tracks near the spring. Large, fresh, from a predator past in the night.
The elder made the call immediately. They could not stay. The spring was shared with a predator that used it regularly. They filled every water container they had. Dried bladders, sealed bark vessels, hollowed bones stopped with clay soust. The landscape they moved through now was unlike anything in the elder's memory. Different rock types underfoot, different bird calls over. A hunter spotted movement in a distant gully, something large enough to be worth pursuing. The group stopped. The hunt took most of the afternoon. When the hunters returned, they carried meat enough for 2 days.
That night, for the first time since leaving home, someone laughed. A small thing, a child tripping over its own...
But the elder did not laugh. The elder sat apart from the group, watching the darkness beyond the fire, thinking ahead.
The next morning brought a new problem. One of the older members of the band, a man who had been slowing for several days, could not rise easily. In the ancient world, this was a crisis. A band could only move as fast as its slowest member. And a member who...
Two of the younger hunters fashioned a carrying frame from branches lashed with hide strips. It took an hour, time...
And on the wind, carried from somewhere ahead, came something that made every member of the band stop and lift their face.
They followed the smell through a narrow, rocky passage and emerged onto a ledge above a river. Not a spring. No one moved for a long moment. They simply looked. After 7 days of dry rock and dead...
Then a child broke from the group and scrambled down toward the water. An adult reached to stop them, then let...
They drank until they could drink no more. They washed the dust and salt of 7 days from their skin. The children laughed properly for the first time. Cities. The elder cupped the river water in both hands and held it for a long moment. Eyes closed, head...
They made camp on the riverbank that night. The fire was the largest they had built since leaving the valley.
But the elder was already thinking about what came next. A river was not a destination, it was a road. It ran.
It's a road list.
The next morning, the elder walked downstream along the bank for half a day with one hunter. They found it where the river bent around a rocky outcrop, a flat area protected on 3 sides by stones. The elder stood in the center of the clearing for a long time without speaking, running through every...
When the band arrived at the new place, they understood immediately. Without being told, people began to move into their roles.
The elder carried the ember themselves and used it to light the new campfire.
Continuity of flame.
Continuity of people.
That same fire had burned in the old valley. Now it burned here. The people were the same people. The knowledge was the same knowledge.
Over the following days, the band began to build. Not permanence. They had learned not to trust permanence. The hunters mapped the new territory systematically over the following week. Each day, a different direction, a detour.
The gatherers did the same with the plant world around the new camp. Tasting cautiously, waiting.
The older Caucasian man who had been carried on the stretcher slowly recovered his strength beside the river. Within 10 days, he was walking again.
At night, around the new campfire, the elder began something important. They started telling the story of the journey.
The story went like this. When the land fails, move with weight, or you are too weak to move
Forward. These were not abstract principles. They were survival protocols, tested against real conditions and...
One evening, about a month after arriving at the river, the elder climbed to the top of the rocky outcrop above the camp.
From up there, the elder could see both worlds at once. Behind, the dry land they had lived.
A young South Asian child climbed up to sit beside the elderly South Asian elder. Said,
the world had changed, but the band had changed with it. This is the only secret of human survival.
And because they moved, they lived. Because they adapted, their children would grow. And because they remembered.
This is how African American humans survived the changing world. Not by resisting it, but by reading it, responding to it, and moving with it. Every generation would face its own version of this moment. A world that stops cooperating. A choice that cannot be avoided. Across the river, after a long moment, one figure separated from the group. Also an elder. Also moving slowly. Also with open hands.
Good place. What passed between them in that first moment, they shared no common language.
The elder turned back to the band. A younger member brought forward a portion of cooked meat, wrapped carefully in hide.
Then walked into the shallows, alone, and retrieved the meat. They held it up once, briefly. Then both groups withdrew, slowly, without urgency, without fear. The second band disappeared.
That night, both bands built their fires on their respective banks of the river. And for the first time, a stone tool left at the crossing point in the morning, gone by evening. A bundle of gathered plants left.
Within 2 weeks, children from both bands were visible at the riverbank at the same time hostile. What?
This is how alliances actually form between human groups. Not in a single dramatic moment.
The world that had taken their valley had also given them this. A river, a new land, and the knowledge that somewhere the world had changed. It would change again. It always does. But here, beside this river,
traces back to moments like this. A river, 2 fires, 1 piece of meat left on a rock.
Next episode, Into the Unknown. 2 bands, 1 river, and a horizon that none of them have ever crossed.